What's going on, guys? It's your boy Austin Shope here. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down my top 10 fights of 2024. So, this whole year alone has been crazy for the UFC. There's been a lot of good fights, a lot of crazy matchups, and a lot of insane finishes. So, I gathered up all the fights that I could think of in my head and break them down in a top 10 list. So, we're going to get into this. At number 10, we got Jaquan Buckley versus Nursultan Ruziboyev. Now, if you guys don't remember this fight, Nursultan Ruziboyev had a insane amount of hype on him whenever he first got into the UFC. And am I the only one who thought that he was going to run through Buckley? Like, I thought he was going to finish him within, the first, 20 seconds of the fight. But then Buckley just came out super explosive and just put on an amazing performance against him. This fight went back and forth. Both these guys had insane moments in this fight, and both these guys came close to finishing each other. It came down to the wire, but then Buckley, I think he won by split decision, either split decision or unanimous decision. But either way, this fight was insane. It's one of the fights that stick into my head for this year, and so I thought this was the perfect fight to put at number 10. At number 9, I got Petr Yan versus Deiveson Figueiredo. Now, the reason why this fight is on my list at number 9 is because this was probably one of the best bantamweight fights I saw this year. The only reason why it's at number 9, well, one of the reasons is because, one, it was at 6 a.m., and so I had to wake up pretty early for it. But the striking in these fights was crazy. It's almost like we saw prime Petr Yan in this fight. Whenever he was former champion. It's just, to beat someone like Deiveson Figueiredo like that is just insane to me. And both these guys had crazy exchanges. Figueiredo dropped Yan, and Yan, pieced him up a majority of the fight. So it's just it's kind of hard not to put this fight in your top 10. It's like one of those fights to look back on and be like, okay, this is probably one of the better bantamweight fights that we've seen in the past couple years. So, that's why it's on my top 10. At number 8, I got Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Gary. Now, the reason why this one's at number 8 is because it mostly was a grappling match. They had some good striking exchanges, but nobody expected Ian Gary to do that good of a performance on Shavkat. Making Shavkat look human in the fight is crazy. Because before that, Shavkat had a 100% finish rate. He won all of his fights and finished all of them. So, for someone like Ian Gary to take Shavkat out to a decision, that's impressive enough. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like before this fight, no one took Ian Gary too seriously. Because, yeah, even though he's won before this fight, he won every fight in the UFC. He had some pretty questionable wins against Neil Magny and Jeff Neal. Those two really stick out to me because, yeah, even though he won the fights, it looked like they were giving him some trouble, and he was just kind of playing around with Neil Magny the whole time. But I don't know. He had a really good performance against Shavkat, so that alone is the reason why it's in my top 10. At number 7, I got Jared Cannonier versus Kai Barello. Now, looking back at this fight, all I can really remember of it just being a crazy amount of strikes put in with both these guys. It was a insane striking exchange. For how old Jared Cannonier is, he really showed his toughness against Kai Barello. For Kai Barello being a huge middleweight, he's just super, super good, dude. He's just, honestly, he might be the best guy on the Fighting Nerds. It's just, he's insane, and that was his first fight to get into the top 5 in the middleweight division, and he put on an insane performance against Jared Cannonier, someone who is probably one of the best guys in the middleweight division, or used to be. He took some crazy shots. Kai Barello almost finished him at one point in the fight, and it's just, you guys just need to go back and look at that fight. It's a really good fight, and it was even better whenever it was a fight night, so the fight was free. It was just one of those fights where I was like, okay, cool, we're seeing seen some good blood in this fight. You know, both these guys bled. Freaking Cannonier really did some damage to Kai Barello. Kai Barello almost put out Jared Cannonier. It's just, the fight alone was just crazy work from both the guys. It's one of those fights where it's like, potentially could be like low-key fight of the year if you think about it. So that's why it's at in my top 10. At number 6, I got Alexandre Pantoja versus Steve Erceg. Now, when this fight got booked, at first, I was like, dude, the flyweight division is freaking cooked. I was like, how are they having someone who's like, I'm pretty sure at the time he was maybe like 10, maybe even 11 in the rankings and getting a title shot. I was like, this dude, how's this dude gonna have a walk-off KO from by Matt Schnell when literally everybody in the flyweight division knocks that dude out and then gets a title shot after it? I was like, dude, this fight's gonna be so ass. I was like, Pantoja's just gonna finish this dude. But when the fight freaking happened, I was like, it literally came down to the wire. I was like, dude, Steve Erceg, I was like, this guy's crazy. I was like, this guy might be the next one up in the flyweight division, you know? But then he had those other losses after the fight. But other than that, he put on a good performance against Pantoja. I was like, dude, this guy's really, really, you know, honestly, it might be the hardest fight Pantoja had so far in his title defense. I'm just saying, you know, Steve Erceg was really making Pantoja work for that title, you know? It's just, usually whenever flyweight fights happen, minus the Manel Kopp and Makaev fight, if you know, you know, they're usually pretty entertaining. So, I don't know, whenever there's a flyweight fight on, I usually try to watch them. So, I don't know, even if I know the guy or not, they're usually always pretty entertaining. But this fight just kind of surprised me. So, at number 5, I got Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovics. Both these guys fought on UFC 306, which is UFC Noche. I don't know if you guys remember that card, but that's probably arguably the best card of 2024. So, some of you guys might disagree, but a lot of you guys might agree with me. But this fight literally went back and forth. Both these guys, they were getting close to being finished. If you guys look back at this fight, the striking exchanges went back and forth. It was like, one dude was like, you know, piecing up the guy, and then the other guy started piecing up the other one. It was like skill against skill. Both these guys have insane amount of experience. They both know how to fight, obviously, and they both wanted to get that win, it looked like. So, I don't know, this fight just was super entertaining, but two high-level guys meeting early on in their career, you know, it's just really, really good. You know, both these guys were, like, undefeated in the UFC. I'm pretty sure Zellhuber was, like, on a 5-fight, like, win streak. Like, he was on a crazy win streak, and then Esteban he just came off, like, that win by knocking out Terrence McKinney in that first round. It's just, I don't know, these guys they put on a crazy performance. So this is why it's at number 5, and honestly, it probably could be a lot higher than that. So I don't know. At number 4, I got Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler 2. The reason why this is at number 4 is because Michael Chandler was supposed to fight Conor McGregor. You know, he had a really long layoff because of that. And so they kind of blessed him with that Charles fight. I thought he was going to lose really bad because he hasn't fought in a while, but put on a pretty good performance against Charles. Almost finished him in that last round. I don't know, dude. Michael Chandler's just one of those guys where every time he fights, he's going to make it exciting. And especially with having that layoff for a while, waiting on Conor, and coming back and putting on a performance like that, plus it being 5 rounds, is just a good way to end out, you know, the year 2024. You know, it's just, I'm glad it was a 5-round fight, because who knows, it would have, it might have not have been that much of a hype fight if it was a 3-rounder, but thank God it was a 5-rounder. I'm just saying, this fight was really entertaining. Their first fight was really good, but he got knocked out. Michael Chandler did, and he did even better this time. So, That's why it's at number 4. At number 3, I got Edgar Chairez versus Joshua Van. Now, like I said, this is a flyweight fight, so all the flyweight fights are usually like insane striking exchanges. They're all out, they're all gas, no break. It's just insane, you know. But this fight, Joshua Van came in on a short notice to I forgot who Edgar Chairez was supposed to fight. But dude, holy crap. This fight was insane. Both these guys almost put each other out the whole fight, you know. It was like Joshua Van rocks him, and then Edgar Chairez comes back with like a knee or something and like cracks his chin, drops him. It's just like, oh my gosh, dude, you guys need to go back and watch that fight. Like, that might be like arguably my number 1 if I'm being honest. But I just went ahead and put it at number 3 because there's so many fights that are so good. But geez, you guys need to go back and watch this fight. It was just like, honestly, dude, Joshua Van might be my personal favorite in the UFC out of all the guys. If I'm being honest, he always has really good fights. Always puts on really good fights and hits really hard. His boxing's super, super crisp, and he's just really fun to watch. It's like he always puts on super, super, super good fights. But if you guys know what this fight is, and if you guys watch this fight, I want you to drop a comment and let me know what was your favorite moment in this fight. But if you guys know, you know. At number 2, I got Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. Now, this fight was also on 306. A lot of these fights on this card are honestly from 306. 306 was just a great card in general. But this fight alone, it was booked like 2 or 3 times. But whenever they actually fought, dude, I honestly thought it was going to be a closer fight because of the grappling. But freaking Diego Lopez almost put him out in that first round. If he didn't come back up with that one uppercut and that one exchange where he dropped Ortega, he probably would have knocked him out. I think that second shot woke him back up. But anyways, this fight was the fight that really put Diego Lopez out on the radar for a title shot. It's like, yeah, we saw his fight against Sadiq Youssef, and then his debut against Movsar whenever he came in on short notice. That was really promising. It's just Diego Lopez is super fun to watch. He's always, you know, like I said, he always goes out. Doesn't matter if he gets cracked. He's just going to come after you. He's just 100% always going to come after you, trying to come up there and piece you up. He likes to fight in the pocket. It's just he makes fights fun. That's what it is. He makes fights fun every time he fights. So I hope he gets the title shot soon. He's honestly probably my favorite 145er right now to watch. But no, this fight, go back and watch Brian Ortega and Diego Lopez. If you guys are just now watching the UFC, this is a good fight to watch to really get into the UFC. It's just great. This fight was perfect. At number 1, I got Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje. Now, this fight's probably everybody's number 1. But, dude, this fight, like, I thought Justin Gaethje was going to go in there and just really put it on Max. I thought he was honestly going to knock Max out. It's like, with fighting someone like Justin Gaethje, there's always a good chance that you're going to get knocked out, regardless of who you are, regardless of how good your chin is. But Max really showed his experience in this fight. Whenever it really showed that he could compete at the highest levels at 145 and 155. It's honestly, I think the official bump up after that Ilya fight was perfect for Max. Max has a good frame and a good body for 155. He showed that he can compete with the top dogs. And the whole fight was good, but the last 10 seconds was crazy, dude. Literally knocking him out with, like, I think 2 seconds left. No, I think he knocked him out right before, the clocks, hit 0. It's just one of those fights that go down in the books to really, be like one of the best fights in UFC history just because these guys are, the top dogs in their division. And it was for a BMF belt, which honestly is the perfect fight to make for the BMF title shot. It was a masterpiece, dude. This fight was crazy, and which it also put, it put Max Holloway in the top 10 after he won that fight. So, I don't know. This fight was perfect. You guys need to go back and watch that. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about my top 10. Comment your top 10 in the comments. I need you to like this video. And before the year ends, I'm going to try to post another video. Maybe do top 5 cards of the year or something, or maybe top 5 performances of the year or whatever. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. But you guys like this video, comment, share, whatever. But make sure you guys subscribe, and that's all I got. Peace.